And the Canadian men's national team, as they close their fall window, the Canadian women's national team have their fall window sorted. They'll play Switzerland in Lucerne, the first of 2 games in October. The second opponent yet to be announced, but likely to be European. And then, of course, they'll go to Japan to play Japan twice in the November and December window. It's been a bit of a lower stakes year for the Canadian women's national team, but of course things will begin to ramp up ahead of the World Cup, and next year will be a much bigger year as well. But when you look at the opponents lined up for Casey Stoney's squad and what this year could finish like for Casey Stoney's squad, what do you see for this Canadian women's national team?
Yeah, so far so good. Japan, I really think is going to be good to get those 2 tests in Japan, maybe get a bit of a different environment. Funnily enough, Canada's done a decent job with their scheduling this year of spreading things around, right? In the sense that they got the friendlies in BC in April against Argentina. And then they had the friendly in Toronto, in June. Then you got the US game in July. Like, they've had a good mix too and they went to Europe in February. Now they return to Europe and finish in Asia. Overall, this is the kind of year you expected and wanted, with it being a year with nothing at stake, no qualifiers, new coach, player pool with a lot of injuries. So yeah, hopefully these last 2 windows you really see Canada take some steps forward, because this has been a pretty good stretch for a lot of their players playing abroad. Some of the newer faces have really stepped up. Some veterans have kickstarted their form. Some players are returning for injury, right? We can see finally what a Chloe Lacasse looks like in a Casey Stoney system. Sydney Collins, perhaps, too, with her making her return to action, then getting traded to Bay FC. So lots to look forward to. And then, 2026 is going to be a big year. There's, of course, the CONCACAF Championships at some point, which are the World Cup qualifiers. That's going to be massive for Canada. They're going to have eyes on winning that, of course. It would be nice to see them win a trophy like that for the first time in a while. But making the World Cup will be the first and primary goal. So hopefully they can just finish off on a bit of a high note, because honestly, under Casey Stoney, it has been pretty smooth, but it feels like things just have a bit of a bad taste because of how the last window ended with the loss to the US and Casey Stoney kind of pushing our players. But I think that's why this fall can be a bit of a good response, because now that they had a bit of that wake-up call, they'll know that, especially next year when they're sure to face the US at that CONCACAF Championships, that they want to be a lot better than the team that lost on July 4th.
And this fall has already started off pretty well for Canadian players. Of course, we talked about Olivia Smith scoring on her Arsenal debut. But Vanessa Gilles also scored her first Bayern Munich goal in a 2-0 win against Bayer Leverkusen to kick off their Frauen-Bundesliga campaign. Of course, you dove into this a little bit more on One Soccer, but Vanessa Gilles, another goal. Center back scoring goals for Canadian teams these days. I guess that's just commonplace.
Yeah, what I highlighted when Gilles made this move a few months ago, and it became clear in this first start. Of course, she played in their Super Cup win a week prior, so already has won a trophy with Bayern. It was the dream start Harry Kane couldn't get. He lost on his Super Cup debut. Vanessa Gilles wins on hers. You just can't stop winning trophies. But at Bayern Munich, it's clear that they really want her to be the star of their back line. And at Lyon, that was just never going to happen with Wendy Renard there, because she's the heartbeat of that defensive unit. So there was just so much to be encouraged with this performance for Bayern, because everything goes through Gilles. Like, she's kind of in the middle of everything when building up, and Bayern's maybe building in a 3. It's Gilles in the middle, kind of quarterbacking, spraying passes on set pieces. She is the target for everything. Like, I love that she scored, but she had 0.5 XG and she had 4 shots. Like, she was the most dangerous attacking player on the pitch for Bayern, essentially, at least in terms of what she was able to deliver off dead balls. So I think this move is so great for her, because she was already one of the best at Lyon in the world. I've been pushing. I've been saying how she's underrated in the global game. But I understand it. When you play with someone like Renard, when you play in such a team like Lyon, you're always going to get overshadowed. At Bayern, they see her like one of their top 5 players, and they're treating her like it. I think this could really elevate her. And the fact that she had such a dominant week 1 performance, I think that's a good start.
And also shout out to Bayern for seemingly coming close to packing the Allianz Arena for that match. Like it was a proper home opener for Bayern Munich in their Bundesliga campaign. But Canadian right back Jade Riviere also started 2025-26 on a high note, delivering a beautiful assist in a 4-0 win against Leicester City. They also sit one round away from returning to the Champions League, Manchester United.
Yeah, obviously the first leg of their last round gets played this week, home and away. That's going to be a good opportunity for them because I think they missed out last year in pretty heartbreaking fashion. It's a big year for Jade Riviere. We have to remember, just minted as the 2024-25 PFA Team of the Season, voted on by her peers. They said she was the best right back in the league. And while there's no doubting that she can be that player when fit, for her, you just wanted to see her stay on the pitch and hit those levels consistently. So great to see her start on a good note. The ball itself for the goal was absolutely stunning because it really feels like she can be a big player under Casey Stoney. And I mean, we've been saying that for a few years. She's been a good player under, it was under Priestman, even before Priestman, Kenneth Heiner Muller, she broke in, and now under Stoney, it's just always been stop start. She'll pick up an injury or something like that. So hopefully she can get a good run of form because it feels like she's hitting her top level as a player over these last few months.
And we'll hop over to North America as well. Julia Grosso scored an assist in a bit of a bonkers game for the Chicago Stars, who beat the Orlando Pride 5-2 at a new stadium. And then Clarissa Larissy also had a goal and an assist in her first start for the Houston Dash as they beat San Diego Wave 3-0 on the road. Not a great day for Kaylin Sheridan in that one. And Nichelle Prince had an assist for the KC Current in a 2-0 win over Bay FC. But a busy time in the NWSL as well. What do you see from these Canadians that are starting to find form, in particular Julia Grosso?
Yeah, Gross is an interesting one. Her goal, she scores with the right foot. She had some fun comments on the broadcast after, being like her coach is pushing her to use her right foot a lot more because, as we know, Grosso's got a great left foot and doesn't always need to use her right. But I think that's just kind of been the story of the last few months for Grosso. She's been making a lot of quiet growth in that Chicago midfield. They're asking her to get a lot more involved on the ball, push forward, really be a linchpin. And that's huge because right now Grosso kind of falls in a bit of an in-between on this women's national team. Like, where does she fit? Players like Emma Reagan have really taken over that number 6 spot, and there's other players pushing. Of course, Jessie Fleming kind of wants to, looks like the piece to move at the number 10, where, of course, Mary Yasmin Aladou can play. Olivia Smith is a show. Can Grosso find a role either as a 10 or as an 8? We're still yet to see. So her finding a bit of form higher up the pitch maybe indicates she can try to grab a spot in a similar position under Casey Stoney. And as for Larissy, just good to see her start well because she's someone who has been in good form for a few years now, first in Sweden. The Crystal Palace move didn't really work out the way she or Palace would have wanted. But if she can play in the NWSL, she can't get ignored much longer. And I think we've seen it every time she plays for Canada. She has a bit of a profile with her pace, her runs in behind, the way she can stretch defenses. Canada doesn't have a lot of her profile. So seeing her find some form in the NWSL would be huge because she was great in Sweden. Just didn't see, I don't think a lot of people knew that with how hard it can be maybe to follow Sweden sometimes.
Yeah, and it gets a little bit tougher with illegal streams seemingly crawling off the internet as well, with Stream East being taken down. But that's too bad, and a topic for another time.